Are we on now? Yeah. Ta-da! Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Friday morning Course in Miracles study group up here in Amesbury. My name's Arthur Gay, and I am the substitute host today. Everyone's traveling. I think Lisa's on her way home from Mexico, and Bill's with family in Texas, and Linda's living life somewhere. So they asked me to fill in. Today is open mic, and none of our speakers are here yet, but they'll show up, as they always do. I have some announcements. The 40-day program starts a group launch on March 6th. Go to the website and look for the 40-day program, March 2019. It's going to be a huge group launch. Lisa and Cindy Kropp will be presenting live for the launch on March 6th. And Cindy will be making weekly contact with participants of the new 40-day group launch. Very exciting. I remember doing the 40-day. That was a long time ago. Bill is continuing the book study group on the book Being Aware of Being Aware. He is on chapter 4 of this amazing book, and you can watch the entire playlist if you register at billfree.com and start at the beginning. I highly recommend it. If you go back to week 2, you can see me sharing with Bill. And Lisa, LisaNatoli.com has her Healing Cure course published, and it is amazing. Let me start over. Finally, LisaNatoli.com has her Healing Cure course published, and it is amazing. If you're interested in the Healing Cure, go to LisaNatoli.com. I believe the other group closed out last night for the signing up, right? Okay. We have a small group today. None of the regular hosts are here, that's why. We're going to do a meet and greet. We're going to take a couple minutes to do that. We're going to go very slow, Nancy. And we'll be back. All right, let's get this big crowd to sit back down. Having fun, Nancy? Nancy's going to do the cafe gratitude. Someone was asking about it online, really? What the book was, if you can show them the cover. They wanted to try and buy it.
It's a little messy.
But this is it. I don't know if it'll help you.
Plenty of time. Single heart.
Yeah. Now do it with a microphone.
Okay.
So they can hear you.
So it's good morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us. The more the merrier. So today is March 1st, correct? Excellent. So we're getting into a feeling of spring on our doorstep. So I went to March 2nd. These are daily gratitudes or words of wisdom. But I liked March 2nd. So it says, I have an everyday religion that works for me. Love yourself first and everything else falls into place. Oh, and it's by Lucille Ball. We all remember her, correct? And hi, Jen. Thanks for coming. So what limits your experience of being abundant? For me, it would be a belief that I'm not enough and a belief that I'm in lack. And when I feel that I am honoring myself in love and gratitude, that's all I need. And everything else falls into place. And it's the experience that I want of giving and also receiving. So that's coming up in the transformation room. Right. It is today. Okay. I'll keep up. I don't know who I'm handing this off to because thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. You may be stuck with me for a while because the presenters aren't showing up.
Yay!
You want to present?
No,
Do a little bit? It's supposed to be open mic today.
I want to be stuck.
I don't have my board. I feel lost. All right, so today's topic is giving and receiving, the understanding and the practice. And it says, yes, A Course in Miracles says they are the same thing. Hi, Shirley. Anybody want to share on the topic? Nobody's jumping up. Okay. You stuck with me for a little bit. Is that too loud? So, let me do that again. Giving and receiving. The understanding and the practice. I'm going to mention stillness, so I want to just bring it up for a moment for all of us to put our attention on it for a moment, just so we understand what I'm talking about. Anybody who may have not heard this presentation before. Let's close our eyes. And let's take a look at any thought, feeling, or emotion that may be rising up. Just recognize it. Put our attention on it. Now let's take our attention and drift off that thought, feeling, or emotion into the space that it's rising up in. This space that this thought, feeling, or emotion is suspended in, or rising up in, or resting in, is the stillness that I'll talk about. In this stillness, we can open our eyes and stay there if we choose to. We can rest there. This is meditation. You can come back anytime you'd like. In experience, the belief that I'm a separate self is also the belief that I lack, I don't have enough of, I'm not good enough, I'm this and that. In a lot of the programs taught here and outside of here, they teach tithing. It's a giving of money. For most of us, the two most important things a separate self has is money and health. We put our importance on both of them. And we feel we lack both of them, most of us. So we're taught to tithe. And in tithing, they set up a groundwork on how to do it and how much to do and all that. But the purpose of it is to give, so we come to the understanding that we don't lack. First, we can give, and what we give, we have to give. Everything in experience rises up from this stillness. It's the background of all experience in the beginning for us. As we practice putting our attention on this stillness instead of the objects of experience, and it starts to come forward, and the objects of our experience start to go backwards. We start to understand, know, and feel wholeness and oneness. Not even oneness, just wholeness. I don't like to use oneness because it implies another. In our true being, aware presence, in this stillness, giving and receiving are the same thing. Ramana Maharshi says, or said, when he was asked the question, how do I treat another? He said, there is no other. And that's the same statement of teaching as, how do I want to be treated? Or how do I treat another? The way I want to be treated. It's the same statement. There is no other. There's only oneness. Wholeness. I got a text from a friend this week. I wanted to share a little bit, if I can find it. It said, good morning, Arthur. In my meditation this morning, while being in awareness, I had this epiphany that it is where I am starting from and not where I'm trying to get to. And that was perfect. As we rest in stillness, experience stops happening to us and it flows through us. When we recognize this, the stillness that we are, it's a continual giving and receiving of the truth, of the peace that we are. The greatest gift I can give to the world is to know myself. Because to love myself, I need to know myself. For most of us in the beginning, it's a peeling away of what we're not. We start taking our beliefs to experience to see what we're not. But as a living piece, the truth that we are, when we bring this peace into our experience, this peace permeates everything. We need do nothing. It's a giving and a receiving. So from this stillness, when I come out into the activities of experience, the opportunities to give and receive present themselves all the time. I'll give you an example. Monday, Lisa and I were coming home from the gym, and I said to her, you need gas in your car before you go to work, I'll stop now. Well, Monday, down our way, and I think it was up here too, the winds were howling, 60 miles an hour all day, cold. And she said, why don't you go to the gas station where they pump the gas so you don't have to do it? And I said, good idea. She has a couple of those a year. We don't tell her though. So we go to the gas station and the young guy's pumping the gas. And When he came to the window, I give him the card to pay for the gas. And what rose up was, give him a tip. So when he came back, I gave him $5. But I wasn't giving him $5. See, he was able to be me. He replaced me. And he weathered the weather. So in giving him $5, I gave to myself. There is no other. When a teacher of mine shows up, Bill Free, Rupert Spira, Ramana Maharshi, they're not teaching to Arthur the student. They rise up as God. Everything in experience is an expression of awareness, is an expression of God, even the chaos. So when a teacher rises up, it's just awareness rising up, presenting and teaching to awareness. That's taken the shape and form of Arthur, and awareness taking the shape and form of a teacher. Awareness teaches awareness. God teaches God. So in the teaching, there's a giving and receiving going on. There's wholeness. Even in experience, when I'm coming from the point of view of the separate self, I don't have my stick man up because I didn't know I was going to be presenting like this. We'll call him Arthur because it's easy to remember. Throughout his experience, there was a lot of chaos. The chaos was rising up because of the belief that he was separate. There was him and everything else wasn't. So the chaos, which is only awareness God taking shape and form and experience to present to itself, the chaos is just presented as not happiness, to take a look inward, to turn around. A friend of mine, Murphy James, was telling me a story the other day about the Cat in the Hat. And he said there was a show where they lost the mother's keys and they had to find them before she got home. So what they did was, every place they looked and didn't find the keys, they put an X. And that's what the separate self is doing. When I resist the present moment, and I seek to change it, and I go out to look for happiness, and I don't receive it, or I only receive it temporarily, I can put an X there. This doesn't make me happy. And throughout experience, I get a lot of X's. Pretty soon, there's just one big X there. And finally, the mind says, this doesn't work, and it relaxes. And I turn around and I take a look inside. I start to search and seek who I truly am. And my only true desire is peace. Once I start being, it's the greatest gift in the world, coming and going. To be my true self, I need do nothing, because I'm already it. No matter if I know it or I don't know it. So I take my beliefs and I bring them to experience, because experience reveals the truth. When I drop a belief, what's left? Mind thinking says nothing. Awareness says everything. Everything's available. Awareness, which is all we are, the stillness, the knowing, God, is open to all experience. It has no defense against experience. It needs no defense. Experience just rises up within it. Awareness experiences itself. God experiences itself. You are God's experience. There's nothing outside of God. So when we come back into our experience from beingness, from self, from stillness, from knowing, whatever words work for you, God, it's just a giving and a receiving of peace. We are no longer affected by what's going on in experience. We say yes to all of it until we need to say no. But we're open to all of it. So when we reach in and take out a specific experience and something bad may be going on, awareness also says yes to the solution for that seemingly bad going on. Freedom had talked about a couple book studies ago how experience balances itself out completely. There's bad because there's good, there's left because there's right, there's male because there's female. If we leave experience alone, it's perfect. It's a perfect balance. In this leaving it alone is the giving of peace. And the receiving of peace is our beingness. So living meditation. That's what I described when my friend sent me the text. She was living meditation. She was love. When we go about our business as our true self, with no resistance to anything, it's a giving and a receiving. If I'm at peace, my true being, there's no irritation, there's no resistance, there's just love. The definition of love is the dissolving of relationships. There's no a lover and a loved. There's just love. So I don't take out my little sheet of love and say, here, you get 3 sheets and you get 1 sheet and you don't get any sheets, I don't love you. That's not love. Love is unconditional and whole. It's a total giving and receiving. That separate self guy, Arthur, from his point of view, he gives and then he loses something. And in society makes money right at the top of the list of what we can lose. The only thing I can tell you about money is you have more than some and less than others. It's just relative. I went to an AA meeting last night, a half a meeting, and I don't go anymore. But I had been getting some texts, and I loved the guys at the men's meeting. And I observed the meeting, and I watched how society controls life and influences life. But in reality, life is supposed to influence society. That's how we change the world. We be our true self, and we influence society. when I need nothing. That's a total giving to myself. All that exists is self. I'm going to take a break. Nancy's going to share some. It's open mic.
Whoa. Okay.
Bill said you were going to share some.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just.
You do your share and I'll come back up. That's all.
I just need to get myself.
Go ahead. Take your time. Anybody have a question? I didn't have a lot of thought about today because I didn't expect to be doing this. So, fire away, Jen.
Okay, you just have to repeat it. Oh, are you going to
Yeah. Yeah.
When you just said, I just want to clarify, when you said know yourself, you meant knowing your true self, right? Knowing your awareness. Like we need to know ourselves and that's it. It's understand our true awareness.
Speak into the mic. That's good. Yeah.
True being, awareness. We don't need to know it because we are it. So what we are doing here, it's like the onion. We peel the top layer off. We take a belief and we let it go. First, we take it to experience to see if it's true. They were talking in the meeting last night, they were talking about surrender. And it was mainly surrender to the belief that I need to drink. And when I drop that belief, I don't need to drink. But that's not surrender. That's surrender to one belief. I need to work my way down to the one belief that all beliefs spread from, which is that I'm a separate self. That I'm this mind, body, and everything else isn't. So I can do that, drop one belief at a time. I can cut off one limb of that oak tree, and it'll probably take 4 or 5 lifetimes before I get rid of all my beliefs. Or I can take the chainsaw and cut it at the base. Aware presence is all we are. It's always available to all people throughout all experience. Presence. All experience is experienced now. This is the only experience we're having. I can't experience breakfast again. I can't go into breakfast this morning. It's just a thought now. Presence. As soon as I resist the present moment, I go seeking happiness outside of presence. The definition on happiness is the seeking of happiness. As soon as I resist the present moment, I am taking. Take. In the search of my happiness. It's the seeking that causes all my pain and suffering. Did I answer your question? I go out too far? Anyone? Go, Shil.
So when I'm in the stillness or awareness, I'm just in that place of peace and love. And then if I have an experience, which is a bad experience, in the old days, I'd have that feeling in my body like I want to run. I want to act on it. But because of your teaching in being aware of being aware, I more or less sit with it now. And like freedom, like you explained, Freedom said, it's going to get resolved. I need do nothing. So that's what I'm trying to really do now. Just sit with it. Just be, because it's so opposite of who I was. And I know when I practice that, I am at peace. I don't have to do anything. It's already been taken care of. And so I do find so much peace in your teaching, or the teaching of Rupert Sparrow. So thank you for that.
Perfect. When we come from the point of view of the separate self and something rises up, we react. Fight or flight. That's what mind is. When we come from stillness and there's an action called for, it comes from God. It's right action. Whatever action it may be gets done, it's over with, there's no residue left over, we live life. Be happy. Shirley's talking about the stillness. My experience was I recognized and understood it in my meditation. I used to do 2 round-an-hour meditations morning and night. I don't do that anymore. But in that meditation, I came to the knowing that I could be in meditation while things were going on, unaffected by it. And then I was able to open my eyes in the quiet place and stay in the meditation, allowing things to rise without being affected by them. And then I started experimenting with it, and I took it into my daily activity. And that stillness was available to me all the time, no matter what was going on. Never changed. Everything came in and out of that stillness, existence. Everything comes in and out of existence, but existence never changes.
So for me, receiving and my transformation through starting the work with Lisa in the 40-day program came at a pivotal shift for me. And just listening to everybody talk about receiving and being still was something that I was given an opportunity to practice during a really tough time where things were definitely out of my control, and they were unfolding very quickly and dramatically, where my brother lived with my father, and my brother ended up being the one that got sick and needed open heart surgery, while my dad just sat in his chair and everything swirled around him and I had to kick in. And one of the things that I talked about in the 40-day was that the beginning of our commitment was I am not a fixer. And it was something that I think kept me from being my true self, because out of fear, I always felt that I was not enough and I needed to be the fixer. So through the course, my brother got better, but my father got worse. And I used that quiet stillness that Bill talks about to allow things to unfold without having to be actively involved and have the answers, and the fear went away, and the love and appreciating life's shifts and changes, and being able to be calm enough to receive the answers I needed to receive, to truly be present in a completely chaotic whirlwind. And that was the gift of trusting in love's presence and experiencing life without being in fear and projecting it all into the future. And the best thing I could do is to be fully present and aware of what was happening, and to be able to facilitate without having to react, and be honestly to be in a chaotic mess myself. So me being calm was the gift that I could give to them and to myself. And so that's what's kind of arose in me as an example of a life-changing for all of us.
Perfect.
Shifted, so.
Allow. Any thought, feeling, and emotion that wants to come up, allow it. Welcome it. Don't judge it. Don't resist it. Don't try and get rid of it. Let it be. Be the space that it rises up in. It's the exact same thing when a family member is sick and dying. There's no birth and death. Awareness, our true self, has to be present before, during, and after all experience. Otherwise, it's an unreal experience. There's no such thing as an unreal experience. Any experience, to be experienced, awareness is present for it. That is who we are. God is present for it. When we come from there and a family member is sick and dying, we're not losing anything. It's just love. We get to be there while the body goes on. But they are unaffected by it. We are unaffected by it. Of course we feel sadness. We let it come up. Let it do its dance. It goes away. Everything's temporary in experience. That's what experience is. It's temporary. It's perfect. What a way to live life. It's called peace. Ready to come up? Cool. Nancy's going to share.
Did you notice that I was attached to a belief when he says, now come up? Like, oh my gosh, my assumption was I get to hear the whole thing and see where he's been and figure it out and make it match. Instead, there was some gut level in me that said, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm going to say. I'm not sure what he just finished. What comes next? So here I am anyway. And it feels more and more to me like I'm allowing the things that I used to feel judged about because they're me. You know, I started out as a, when I was teaching, I started out teaching junior high school science. And so by the time I got to 20 years later, a corporate research job, and I was in a workshop, and I don't know what I said, but the responder said, well, that sounds a little bit like Ding Dong School. Do you think you could phrase that differently? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I don't get to be who I've been, who I am in my accumulation. Well, of course I did. There I was pushing his buttons apparently too. But it's like, so now I can say, okay, I started out as a junior high school teacher. I've got teacher all through me and in me, no matter where I am, what I do. It comes out in different forms, but it's okay. You know, it's okay. That's what I am. It doesn't appeal to everybody, and that's okay too. So my understanding was that the topic was, and I heard sort of just part of it. I'm sorry for being in the middle. Was giving and receiving are the same. And I love the kind of analogies you were using and the sharing that's been done. And just the idea now that when we can be in peace in our true selves, we are we're really we're part of God's creation because we're just present to receive the messages and the gifts and then turn them around because we're experiencing it and doing it right now at the same time. So going back to my teaching days, here we are. See if I can do this. Some of you have seen this and heard this before. My sign for giving and receiving and being in a relationship with someone was always an infinity sign. An infinity sign. This is going to be tough to do a demo and hold the mic and keep my hand still. So, you know, you give to me and I send it back out to you. It's not quite the same way. You know, it comes in one way, turns around, goes back the other way. So it's like this out and back and out and back and out and back and out and back. no matter who I'm with or what I'm doing, and moving it toward awareness or eternity or peace, there's a physical sign that, a physical model that to me kind of still blows my mind. I can't quite explain it, but it is, and I can show it to you. So here we go. Goody, I've got a mic holder. All right, first of all, I happened to find a folder that's already different colors on different sides. And I've got 2 long strips, so I'm going to, first of all, just tape them together so they're a little longer. Okay, so I've got 1 long strip. Now I'm going to twist it 1 turn, and I'm going to bring it around, and I'm going to tape it on the other end. But now it's twisted in, oops, an infinity sign. Okay, if you give it the 3-dimensional help. So it looks like our 2-dimensional infinity sign. So now the cool thing is that if I take a pen and I start anywhere on here, whoops, this one was like this, I can just start making a line. Whoops, this is not going to be very smooth. And I can go and go and go and go. Still on the surface that shows up to me. This one was like this. I should have had 2 pieces of tape. So here I go. Nope, see, I just changed from one color to another. And now I can go and go and go and go. This is a kindergarten line. And right here, as I get back to where the 2 colors were twisted, I haven't yet changed sides deliberately, but I'm back. There's 1 surface. There's only 1 surface, even though it seemed like we started with 2 2-dimensional objects. So this thing is called a Mobius strip. It's a geometric phenomena that is well known, well, by some people. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's the perfect example of giving and receiving are the same. It's not really like my gift ever found a place to turn around and come back. It's still me giving to me and you giving to me, or you giving to you. It's like that continuous, eternal, creative kind of dimension that that's really who we are when we can be in that experience or that moment. And it can be in very stressful kind of time. Thank you. It can be in very stressful kind of times, like Nancy described, when we realize that our gift to everybody and everything around us is to be able to hold, my gift is to be able to hold my own peace. That's my gift. And that doesn't feel like I have to, quote, do any, I mean, I might go through some exercises and practices to get better and better and quicker and more aware of what I don't want to be in, but I don't have to do anything. I don't have to buy anything or behave a certain way or sit down or jump up and down. It's whatever is peaceful and happening to me at the time. So that's what I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you, Nancy. So here's a practice you can try. Giving can be many things. It's a smile, a nod, let somebody in traffic. You can give a little extra tip at a restaurant. Everything's giving. No matter what point of view you're coming from, separate self, true being, go out and just give. Every opportunity that shows up. Give a smile, give a little extra tip, give a hug, say hello. If you're in Boston, sit down with someone who's there collecting money and just say hi. Put $5 in their jar, then see what happens. See what experience tells you. It's like a drug, for one. The endorphins and the physical feeling of it in the beginning will kick in, and it'll feel good. And that's just the physical experience of love. Just try it. Give, 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 give. Arthur, that separate self, would give an expectation of something in return. Just have no expectation. And watch what you receive. Try that. You know you're up. Okay, come on.
Thank you. Sorry, I would have been here sooner, but I had I remembered at 9:23 that I had a 9:30 chiropractic appointment. Whoops. So nice to see everybody. So giving and receiving, I've been thinking about from the perspective, and this will shock all of you, I'm sure, from the perspective of forgiveness. Exactly. And so, because as I've said before, the ego mind reads the Course in Miracles right along with us, right? So the ego's version of forgiveness, well, this is going to apply to forgiveness too, but the ego's version of giving and receiving is, I'm going to give something, so then I'm going to lose it. I now have less, and you now are going to have more because I gave it to you. And so it's a scarcity idea. It's a separation idea. It's the kind of idea that caused this illusory world to come into being, right? Because we felt like we were separate. We felt like we were less than, and the idea that giving and receiving are the same. So the ego is going to take that idea, when we read it in the Course in Miracles, when particularly maybe when we first read it, and we come up with all these ideas, well, giving and receiving aren't the same, because if I give somebody something, then I don't have it anymore. If I give the bank money for my mortgage payment or my car payment, I don't have it. It's not my checking account anymore. So that's obviously bullshit. This Course in Miracles it's just another way why how come it's crazy. And yet, and so that's the way that the ego looks at everything. It's the same kind of an idea when we start talking about oneness, and we talk about how everyone is an equally beloved child of God in the Course's philosophy. And who does everybody say? Well, what about Hitler? Exactly. So everybody says that. And so where the ego is going to go with this is it's going to go right to money. It's going to go right to possessions. If I have this and I give it away, then I don't have it anymore. So therefore, giving and receiving are not the same. And what the Course in Miracles teaches about forgiveness is that we can't forgive ourselves. We can't release ourselves from our unconscious guilt if we don't release our brothers. If we are holding anyone in an unforgiveness, we're holding anyone in guilt, anyone in resentment or anger, or seeing them as separate from ourselves, then we are holding ourselves there too. Why? Because we are the same as they. There is no difference. There is no separation between us. And so it works the same way. So when we practice forgiveness, what do we say? We say, I forgive because I remember there's nothing to forgive. I remember that I'm dreaming an illusion where I thought that we were separate. And so I was blaming you for something, or I was blaming something outside myself. So I'm forgiving myself for having that perception. And I'm forgiving you for what you never did. I'm forgiving me for what I believed and it was wrong. And I release the whole thing to spirit to be healed. And what that does is it erases that separation that was between us in the first place. It erases that chasm that had opened between us, and it reunites us with our oneness with one another, just like the namaste prayer does. You know, I say namaste to you. This is what we do in here and in the beginning of our meeting. Namaste means the light in me honors the light in you, because the light in you and the light in me is the same light. And so giving and receiving are the same is no different than that. When I give, so what the Course in Miracles, and the Course in Miracles does not open up to like lesson 108 or lesson 105 or lesson 106. Many of those lessons deal with the idea of giving and receiving. It doesn't say, go give your money to somebody because giving and receiving are the same. You know, it doesn't say that. It doesn't even talk about that, but that's, of course, right where the ego mind goes anyway. It just goes right to that interpretation. Where it does go, so it says, one of the lessons says to have, give all to all. And that's one of the lessons that deals with this concept is, and so again, right away, the ego mind is going to be all like, oh, really? Okay, so I just go, I give all my money away, I give all my possessions away, I give all my stuff away, and then I don't have all. Like I'm homeless on the street and I don't have any money. Like, how does that work? It's like, okay, well, let's just back up a second and let's remember that the Course in Miracles is also teaching us that there is no world, that this is fake, that this is illusory, that this is something that we are dreaming and making up in our minds. So the Course is not really going to teach us what to do with our fake money, right? That's not the way, the concept. That's not the way he's teaching. So where he goes with it, and he goes to the same place in the exercise in lesson 108, it goes to giving and receiving the peace and love and joy of God. And that in order that is constantly being sourced to us. So that is not only being sourced to us like it's something different than what we are. It's not like we're not peace and love and joy, and then it's being sort of blasted to us like out of a fire hose, and then we're this, receptacle. The body is a receptacle, but we are God's peace and God's love and God's joy. That is what we are made of. That is what God is made of. That is what the light is. It's peace and love and joy. And so that is our gift. Our gift from God is just him extending himself, his peace, love, and joy into us. And we are the created. He is the creator. We are the created. But it's all the same peace, love, and joy. And so in order for me to be who I am, I extend that. That's the creativity that is in this world. Anything else that we do in this world that we think about as I created this or I created that, it's actually making it. The Course in Miracles draws a distinction between the term creating and the term making, because creating is what I do with what God has given me. It means extending love, extending peace, extending joy. And so for me to be able to create in this world, even though this world is a dream, I'm still being me because I'm extending peace, I'm extending love, and I'm extending joy. And one version of doing that is extending forgiveness. Extending forgiveness is the same as extending peace and love and joy. And it's bringing us back to you are me and I am you. It's like Nancy said, there is no difference. I'm giving to you, you're giving to me, because what we're really doing is I'm giving to myself. The Course in Miracles teaches that there's one Son of God, and it is you. And so for you to give to you is to give to me. And for you to give to me is to give to you. And for me to give to you is to give to me. And for me to give to me is to give to you. Right? And it just goes like this. Yeah. And so they're really, and what the Course teaches is when we give from a place of scarcity, from a place of, if I give this to you, then I don't have it. Or if we give from a place of, well, I gave you a gift, so, you know, where's my gift? I gave you a gift last year on your birthday. It's my birthday. Where's my gift? Right? That's not actually giving and receiving. That is called conditional. It's called conditional love. I'm not even sure why the word love is on the end of that. Certainly it's called conditional giving. With the giving with the expectation that we are now owed. Because again, that's another concept in the ego world, is if I give something, then I'm owed. Right? If I gave you something, then you owe me. There is no owing in God. There is no owing in who we are. Why? Because there's no scarcity. There's no lack. There's no, in the world of heaven, which is just the world of who we really are and where we really are and where we never left, the world of God, the world of spirit, there is no lack. There's no limitation. There's no scarcity. There's no, you have something and I don't have it. So there's no reason to have any, you owe me, or you have to pay me back for what I gave you, or I gave you something, but now that means you have to behave in a certain way. That's all the conditional thinking of this world. And it's all the thinking of the world that has to do with, controlling what people do. And it comes from a place of fear, right? Because what would be the only reason we would want to control anybody? Is because we're afraid. And we're afraid, what'd you say, Nancy? We're protecting ourselves from something we don't need to protect ourselves from, right? Because we don't need protection. When we're in our true self, when we're in our authentic self, when we're in our place of love, nothing can hurt us, nothing can touch us. There is no scarcity. Nothing can be taken from us because it's who we are. And so when we say giving and receiving are the same, now we think we live in this dream. This is where we wake up every day. We wake up in the body. We're let's say, okay, I'm still in a body. I guess I'm still here. And so then it becomes, how can we transfer this truth of that there is no difference between giving and receiving, that they are the same? How can we transfer them into our world so that we can live them? Because the more that we live this truth every day, that is what is going to undo the ego and get us back home. It's not reading A Course in Miracles. It's living it. And it's not just A Course in Miracles. As A Course in Miracles itself says, there are thousands of paths to God in the universal curriculum. It does say that this is one of the fastest. And so, I've said many times, I'm totally down with that. And collapsing thousands of lifetimes, good. I'm all good with that. So one of the ways of doing that is being able to see that giving and receiving are the same, which means not withholding love from anyone in any way for any reason. And withholding love takes a lot of different faces. So withholding love takes the face of judging people. It takes the face of criticizing, of thinking you know what other people should do better than they do. It takes what are some of the ideas you have for the face that it takes? Projecting onto other people. Linda?
Can I say something? I have an example.
Yes.
Yeah. So my example, because you're making me think, is when, So I worked at the IRS, right? And so I wanted this other girl. She's born in my month, Aries. So she said, we were talking about birthdays, and she went, "How old do you think I am?" So I was like, she's more mature than me. So I'm going to say she's like older than me. And so I think you're 50 or something, and so she was only 43. Okay. So that was one thing. And then the other thing that happened was, her birthday came around and said, she said something. I said, "You look bigger," or something like that. So she took that the wrong way. And so she went to the boss and told the boss, don't let this. Somehow I couldn't talk to her anymore. I had to go by her desk all the time. So so I felt really bad about my intentions being taken wrong. So, all right. So then while you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, here's the boss saying, "Oh, so I don't feel seen," and she's the gift to let me see that I don't see myself as the light. But it was too hard for me, only now, that I get it, because yesterday I was just saying, this experience still hits on me, I can handle the big ones, but this one, I still think about it, but I have to see my light in order. And that was her gift to me, because that was a year. And then at the end, she was nice to me. And somehow I broke my own barrier that the boss had put on, that I can't talk to her. It was so traumatic.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
What I see is that you have forgiven yourself, and that you're able to now see the gift that she gave you in doing that was the gift of you being able to see your own light, as you said. And now you forgive yourself, and you forgive her, you forgive the boss. And now that's the receipt of the gifts.
Something about that understanding helps,
Yes.
I was like, okay, let it go. But then
Yes.
the understanding, my light, you have to see a light, right? I always knew, if I'm not seeing it.
And you have to see the light in them, so you can see the light in yourself.
It's easy to see it in them,
Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Thank you, Linda. Sometimes it's easier to see it in them, and sometimes it isn't. It depends who them are, right? And then we remember that them is us, and them is everybody, and there are no exceptions. And that's the thing, is that there are no exceptions. And so, what are some of the other faces that thinking that giving and receiving are not the same takes? So we've said judgment, we've said criticism, yes. Except if someone takes advantage of you, yes. And then you feel like they took something from me, right? And that they took me for granted, or it was my kindness, or it was my my goodwill, or I was being nice to them, or whatever. But then they did something bad to me, right? And they took advantage of me. But that, again, that's a separation idea, right? So if I'm looking at somebody as, because what do we look at? So the Course in Miracles says that everything that anyone, ourself and anyone does, because we're the same as everyone. So anything that happens in this world is either an expression of love or a call for love. Thank you. Right. And so either way, somebody is either expressing love, so they're giving love, and they're giving, expressing kindness, and they're giving goodwill, and they're spreading the light and all that. And it's obvious when people are doing that, or they're expressing gratitude, or they're calling for love. And calling for love looks like taking advantage of it. It looks like somebody being judgmental, or somebody taking something the wrong way that you say, or somebody criticizing you, or saying you've done wrong in some way, or you saying that about someone else. That's a call for love. Either way, love is the appropriate response, because love is all we are. As the Course in Miracles says, love is all there is. Only love is real. That we are made of love. We are beings of love. We are wholly loved and wholly loving and wholly love. So the giving and receiving is just being the love that you are, and seeing that everyone else is the love that you are also. And so, like it says in lesson 108, in the practice is everywhere you go that day, or every thought that you have, to extend the kindness or the love or the whatever it is, seeing it as in the other person, and therefore being able to see it in yourself. And so as you go out about your day today, my challenge for you is to be able to, every single person that you see, every single person you encounter, as Arthur said, anybody who, is in traffic with you or cut you off in traffic, or anybody that you have any kind of an interaction with, even if it's an elevator ride or they're standing behind you at the checkout line, to send them love, to send them kindness, to send them joy, to send them light, and to see in doing that you are sending it to yourself, that you are sending, as Nancy said in the Mobius strip, in the infinity sign, that as I'm sending it to you, I'm receiving it back. And it's the only way that I can receive it back. It's the only way I can get it. It's not, I can sit here and give love to myself all day long, but that's not really giving love. Giving love is really the love that I give to my brother, and it comes back to me. That's the love of God. It flows in us. It's who we are. It flows from God to us, and it flows from us to our brother. And it's just a constant infinity sign, to totally borrow your teaching aid. Does anybody have any questions or any comments or anything about any of the whole giving and receiving? Actually, let me give you the mic.
Hi. It made me think about every time that I've reached out to somebody when they needed something, like advice, or they're going through something, when I am selfless about it and I'm speaking into them in a powerful way, it comes out of nowhere. It's like, it's not something that I thought of before or something, and it's usually something that I need to hear myself that I didn't know was within me. And then once I'm helping them fill up, and at the same time, it fills me up in a way that I wouldn't be able to be filled up otherwise. And I realize something within me that I didn't know before. And it's so beneficial for me. And they're thanking me, and I'm just like thanking them or thanking God that the opportunity just came so that we can both be able to receive that. So it just reminded me of exactly what you're saying. It's so true.
Can I get it? Amen. Yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you. Exactly. Well, I'm just going to say what she said. And yeah, so that is one of the things that is the benefit, the side effect. The ego tells us that that if we give and then we lose something, that we're going to feel bad and we're going to, not have it anymore, and we're going to experience scarcity and lack. The opposite is actually true, that when we put it into practice and when we offer our brother, and we may not and often don't know that it's actually something that we need, Spirit knows that, which is why Spirit is putting that brother in front of you right then and having them have this problem, is solely so that you can be the vessel through which Spirit will speak to that brother and give that person what you are being sort of guided to say, because you think that's what they need, only to find out that it's actually exactly what you needed too. And the reason for that is because there is no separation, and you and your brother are the same. And so you're only speaking to yourself. It just looks like you're speaking, through this other person. So any other comments, any other questions? Yes. Yeah, sure. Is it a question? I'll just repeat what you say. Oh, okay.
He says, I'm a big believer and a practitioner of forgiveness, but there are certain people who I feel I could never reach out to and love anymore. When I think of these people, I just bring light or awareness to the situation, but I still feel the same way about them. I guess I'm wondering when I will actually feel love for them. And then I'll just say what Bill said and hey, you don't need to change anything. Only be aware of the thoughts, feelings, or beliefs of how it, and allow it to be seen and the experience to happen without judgment, good or bad. And then someone else said, you don't have to love them. Forgiving is bringing focus back to yourself, minus the negative thoughts about them. If you manage to eliminate those thoughts you gave life to, only your love and God's love exists. Life is too short to allow garbage to infiltrate your peaceful love system. You focus on non-toxic, even when the person with whom you had toxic feelings for.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. I'm so glad I didn't try to memorize all that. So, yes, and the only thing that I would say in response to that, to the first person who wrote in, is that we don't have to interact in the dream with people that we feel, we are had an issue with or had unforgiveness toward. And we're not being asked to do that because, again, Jesus doesn't really tell us what to do in the fake world, in the dream. If you're doing what the practices are that the Course in Miracles is teaching you, it will guide you as to what to do in the dream, because you'll be aligned and you won't be incongruent in your actions from what you're doing in your mind. And so in your mind, it's the forgiveness practice that I talked about before. Forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person, because you're forgiving yourself for what you dreamed was happening. And it doesn't really sound like that's what you're doing. So you might want to go back to the practice of forgiveness, in that it's forgiving yourself for believing that it happened in the first place and not buying into it, not buying into the reality of it, because this world is not real. So we're getting to the end of our time here today, but I just want to say thank you to all the teachers that were here, and thank you for being here.
Can I add one thing, Kelly?
Yeah, and I'm just going to give the mic back to you. Because
Okay. You're doing all the prayers, because I'm not a
much.
prayer guy, okay?
Yeah, I'm happy to. You are living a prayer.
I would just like to say, first, Linda, I learned a long time ago, never ask a woman who you don't know how the pregnancy's coming. How cool is this today? Nancy and Kelly are Course teachers, and they present from the Course teaching. I'm a direct path teacher, and I present from the direct path. The teachers in both teachings have different names. The teachings have different names, and it's the exact same thing. One teaching, there is no other.
Right, yes, right.
And all the rest is just, how do I know this and live this? That's it. That's it. It's so cool. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you. Can we form a circle, please? Close the circle. And live streamers, we're including you in our circle, and Bill and Lisa, and everybody who is on live stream, and everybody who isn't on live stream, and everyone in the whole universe, because there isn't anybody else except for you. So I want to remind everybody there is a love box over in the corner over there, and there's a love button on the site that you're watching, and that your generous donations help us to keep this space and help us to keep Teachers of God going and teaching and all that. So thank you so much for your donation. And I'd like to say the prayer of tithes and offerings first. Divine love
as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
And just have everybody, is it on? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is the light on?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You can hear me better now. Okay, now that it's on. I hope you got all that.
Can I just?
Yes.
I just have to notice that we talked about giving and receiving, and the tail end of that blessing for the offerings is all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. It's the same Mobius strip going out the back.
It is. It's all the same. No accidents, right? So just have you breathe in giving and breathe out receiving, which I know seems counterintuitive because it should be breathing in receiving and breathing out giving, but it's all the same. And so as we go out into the world today, giving and receiving and knowing that it is all the same, allow yourself to receive everything that seems to happen as a gift and as a blessing. And if it appears not to be, then you practice forgiveness around it until it is. And blessing and giving love and peace and joy to everyone whom you encounter. I love you.
Love you.
Namaste.
Awesome.